What it do, everybody? Welcome to the 95 North Sports Machine. I am your host, Berto, joined by my co-host. And special shout out to this man. Happy birthday, Antoine Smitty Smith, or Smooth 10K Smitty, as he likes to be called, man. Happy birthday to you, my brother, man. God bless you, man. Hoping that you get to enjoy many, many more. And yeah, man. Appreciate you joining the stream, man. It's a very interesting stream that we got going on this morning, man. We're going to be joined in a moment by two of our brothers over here. The Water Boys will be jumping on in a second. But just to recap what was going on, man, just so about a half hour ago, I was on Bleacher Report with the task of building an all-time Falcons roster on offense and defense. And while that list really was just, what I felt was who belonged on this list. I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to leave it to the panel. I'm going to leave it to those in the chat to also come up with their own, favorite Falcons to plug in and out. On mine, I had a mixture of old and new. And, for some, it might not sit well, but God damn it, it was my list and I made it and it is what it is. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to
say
talk
it with
about
your chest.
Yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, please, tell the folks what's up, man, before I bring our guest on, and we'll roll.
Hey, what's going on out there, man? Y'all know who it is, man. Your boy Smitty. Yeah, man, I'm halfway to 50 today, man, and I feel great, man. And trust me, it's a blessing to get anywhere past the age of 40, man, because trust me, I've seen some things in my days, and man, a lot of my classmates whom I used to talk to a lot, man, they're not even here anymore. So I can't tell them, hey, I can't tell them good morning. So yeah, God is good, man. God is good all the time, and trust me, man, He's blessed me abundantly, and I'm thankful for that all times.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Amen. Let me just yell at Chris in the chat right quick. Damn kid needs to look at his damn.
Going to give him the boot, man. You got to give him the boot. Got to give.
Oh man, no doubt, man. But let me bring on two of our guests right now. Be Rich and Trey Boy from the Water Boys. What's going on, gentlemen?
The Water Boys, man. It's hot out there today, man. Y'all supposed to be out there giving out water, man. What's going on?
We got our representatives out there, man, doing their thing.
Shit, man.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that to the Water Boys in the hood, man. That's their forte.
Oh man, hey fellas, man, before we go any further, man, gotta shout you guys out, man, because there is a trending and hot topic circling the NFL media right now, and that's thanks to you guys and that fantastic interview you guys put up with John Abraham, where it was revealed that in 2012 some of the those Tampa Bay Buccaneer players were told to inflict some pain and damage onto these Falcons. As we all know, 2012 was a special year for these Falcons as we made it deep into the playoffs, couldn't get to the Super Bowl, but regardless about that, it was what was revealed with John Abraham. But shout out to you both, man, for putting up that amazing interview.
Great interview.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, thank y'all, man. Appreciate both of y'all help, man.
No doubt, man.
It would take a hater Buccaneer website to post that to cause some controversy. But thanks to you, hater.
Oh shit. That's true, man. That's true. But there was another hater that highlighted it too, man. Was Mike Florio.
Hey, man, like I always say, that hate bring the most attention, and he helped y'all out in the long run.
I was just being funny.
What it is. I know.
All right, gentlemen. So without further ado, man, let's talk about it. All-time Falcons list. Like I mentioned, it was a Bleacher Report topic, but I felt like I needed more valid opinions, more valued opinions to put onto this list. Of course, that was a list constructed by me, but you guys know your Falcons knowledge, and you guys we can interchange any player at any given time. This is a Falcons team that has been around for 57 to 58 years. They started off as an expansion team. And, man, so many great names has graced this Falcons organization via draft picks, via, free agency, etc. So this list may have some folks that may not make it or are on there 100. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, when they think of all-time Falcons, Deion Sanders is number one. But there's other players that are worth mentioning as that cornerback 2, cornerback 1. edge rushers. Everybody kind of defaults right to John Abraham, as we just talked about. But Claude Humphrey was a guy that was putting in work. Same thing in the interior. Grady Jarrett, for as great as he is, it was also a guy by the name of Travis Hall that was putting in work before all of these guys, got their name. But I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and we're gonna have this conversation, man. We're gonna go from quarterback, through the offensive line, and then from and the defensive end all the way through the secondary. So, allow me to just bring up this screen right quick. And if y'all can see that, this was from earlier today, building an all-time Falcons roster, like I mentioned, on a Bleacher Report assignment. And for those that have the Bleacher Report app, man, I recommend and ask that you kindly go onto the Bleacher Report app, man, and just follow your boy Berto on there, which is me. Run up those fires, run up those likes, and let's get that stream popping, man. But without further ado, offense. A lot of great names, but Matt Ryan made mines. Any argument here or any hey, how about this guy? I'll leave it up to you guys, but Matt Ryan for me was the guy for Atlanta. Michael Vick, while he brought so much thrill to this Falcons organization and to the culture itself, Matt Ryan kind of red carpeted what the model of consistency and what it took to be a professional, on and off the field. No dig at anybody before him, but Matt Ryan made my list. What do you guys say? What do you guys feel? Should there be a different quarterback at this QB position?
Well,
I let the guests go. Go ahead.
All right. Well, it's only one quarterback we can pick.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Go on, stir some controversy. We love it.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead and tell me what you told me the other day. Tell them what you told me exactly 7 days ago. Who you think was the best quarterback?
Thank God I got my coffee. Let me sip on this right quick.
All right, so I'm gonna put it out there.
Right there.
I'm gonna put it out there. Like, so here it is. I mean, I got it. My brain says Matt Ryan because he went to the Super Bowl and we always win. But my heart says if Steve Bartkowski was playing on the same offense as Matt Ryan and the same type of offensive system that they run now, Steve Bartkowski would by far be the best Atlanta Falcon quarterback, bar none. He had the arm, he had the strength.
I'm not going to argue that.
And back in the day, he threw 30-plus touchdowns 2 times, and he made the Pro Bowl, and he was the number 1 overall selection, I think, in the 1975 draft, or 70, I can't remember. But
75.
Yeah, and he was the definition of sunshine off of Remember the Titans. That was the original sunshine.
Sunshine.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, it was rumored that he threw a ball 101 yards in a SoCal practice when he played for Southern California. And I've been trying to confirm that, but I've seen a lot of stories saying that. But me and Trey was really looking at his highlights the other day, and we was just watching him throw the deep ball to Alfred Jenkins, to Billy White Shoes Johnson, to Alfred Jackson, to Wallace Francis. And that boy had an arm, bro. And I was just looking through the stats, and I got to give him his justice, man. But like I said, my brain says Matt Ryan because he went to the Super Bowl and he put up the tremendous numbers. He's the all-time leading passer. But I really feel if Steve Bartkowski was inserted in that offense, man, oh man, that boy had a cannon arm and he could have got it to Julio and a lot of people. All right, I'm a step back. Trey, you go.
I agree with that. I agree with that to a certain extent. Yeah, Trey.
Well, speaking of heart and mind, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna lie, man. I just off instinct, I want to say Michael Vick just because Michael Vick was just something that we still haven't seen. Like as much as I love Lamar, that's still just a version of Mike Vick I feel like I'm watching, man. So, but I'm going to go ahead to go opposite of that, man. I'm going to go ahead and go with Matty Ice. And I'm going to pick Matt Ryan for a couple of reasons that I don't think people give him enough credit for. Matt Ryan came into a situation that really, when you think about it, was an impossible situation. The fan favorite for a whole state, not just a city, had just been locked up, and the racial component that was added into it. And he comes into a situation having to now right the ship for a team that they just had people flying over the practice field, calling the team dog killer, and taking them through all kind of PR nightmares. And he had to come in that situation, and the team went immediately to the playoffs. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from Michael Turner. I'm not going to take anything away from Roddy or the defense and what they played in that role. And Coach Mike Smith, who did a phenomenal job of riding the ship and starting to build a winning culture. But as the quarterback, I got to give Matt. I'm gonna go ahead and give Matt Ryan his kudos on this one. Similar to B. Rich, my heart says Michael Vick, and in most arguments, I probably would say Vick. But for the sake of this one, man, I'm gonna say Matty Ice, and I'm gonna go with him because I appreciate what he did. I don't think he gets enough credit for the situation he came into, handling everything as a professional, playing the way he played. There was a lot against him. He could have easily been trash. He could have easily been trash and folded. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, he could have easily been a quarterback that folded, and the Falcons probably would have been in a dark era forever. But we had one season. Like, think our quarterback went to prison, and we had one season, and then we were back winning more than we were before our beloved quarterback went away. And so I'm going to give Matt Ice his credit for his stability. Matt Ryan was tough. You didn't see Matt Ryan miss a lot of games. I want to say in the first, 4 or 5 seasons, the only time I can think of Matt Ryan really missing a game is in 2009 when he had like an issue with his foot or his ankle. He missed 2 games, one of the games against the Saints and another game. But other than that, man, he was just like the picture of stability. And so I'm going to go ahead and give it to Matty Ice. I wish Matty Ice would have brought it home. I'm a big fan of Matty Ice as well as Vic and Steve Bartkowski, but I'm going to roll with Matt on this one.
And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. When he threw that first touchdown pass to Mike Jenkins on the first pass, I said we working with something. We got somebody. And even though he didn't put up crazy numbers at Boston College, it was just something about his aura that you just knew he was gonna be that guy. He had up and down seasons, and we all have, but you talk about all these seasons over 4,000 yards, 30 touchdown passes, MVP award in 2016. One of the best Super Bowl performances by a quarterback in NFL history. So, I mean, you just cannot notice that. So, Matt Ryan, hands down, to me, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, he the top dog in the Atlanta Falcons history. Not only the top quarterback. When you talk about what he meant to this organization, he's the top Falcon all the time. And I'm a diehard Deion fan. I'm a Jesse Tugger fan. I'm a Claude Humphrey fan. But Matt Ryan era in Atlanta was the best to date in Atlanta Falcons history, and he was a big part of that. Yeah, we can talk about the playoff blunders, and we can talk about everything else that happened, but at the end of the day, it's a team sport. So he didn't lose all those games by himself. So he did what he had to do to win football games. So I just got to give it to him, man. So hands down, best quarterback, best player in Falcons history.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
So many.
I meant to tell you happy birthday, brother.
Oh, no doubt, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, some other things that Matt Ryan also brought to the table, man. There was no such thing as the Falcons are out of it situation. This was the comeback kid per se. So many come from behind victories. So, that's where he drew the name Matty Ice from. One play in particular for me was against the Chicago Bears and how he threw that out route to Michael Jenkins. I think that one right there kind of like solidified it for me. Like, oh man, this kid is it. Smitty alluded to it, in the beginning, that pass to Michael Jenkins against the Detroit Lions in week 1 that year. But, I go to that Bears game, man, where, our backs were really against the wall. Falcons having the momentum, then it shifted to the Bears. The Bears took the lead, and then all of a sudden he comes out with ice water in his veins, man. Cool, calm, and collected. Oh, I got to make this throw. Threw a dime right to the, on an out route to Michael Jenkins to set up the Matt. Who was the kicker at the time? Was it Elam?
Matt Bryan.
It was Elam.
Matt Bryan was it Jason?
Yeah, I think it was Bryan.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, it was Elam. I think it was Jason Elam, and he sealed the victory. I believe so.
Jay Feely? Was it Jay Feely?
No, Jay Feely was gone.
Jay Feely been gone.
Oh,
man, Feely been gone since the 2000s.
Hey, one thing that Matt Ryan would do, and it was always his comeback play, was I think what you just described when the receiver would go in and then out to the sideline, and he'd just drop it right between the 2 defenders. Boom. Roddy White would always catch it. I remember we won a game against Carolina like that. Remember, Trey, we was out and they kicked the field goal and we was talking shit to your cousin. I remember we did that. I remember the San Diego game, San Diego Chargers, I think it was. We did it, I think, to go to the playoffs. We hit that same route. Matt Bryant kicked the field goal. He just had that one out where he just dropped it towards the sideline. and you'll see like the linebacker right there or the cornerback and the safety. They were in a zone, and he would just drop it right in between them every time, man. He just had that throw.
You know what's crazy about Beavers bringing that up, and this is not, I'm not throwing a knock on Matt Ryan, but it's funny. They would hit that pass a lot when they were trying to move down the field near the end of a half or the end of a game. That's what got that pick six in that Green Bay game in the playoffs, because they knew the Falcons were going to that exact play. They went to the same play to the left. They jumped that same exact route you're talking about and took that pick.
Tremont Williams. I remember that one.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So as is established, you know, a great argument was made for Steve Bartkowski, but you know, a lot has been made for Matt Ryan. So, you know, I guess Matt Ryan's the guy, and we're cool with that.
Yeah,
so
I'm cool with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, y'all. I'm a big Matt Ryan supporter. I've never been a Matt Ryan hater. Like I
got to say this. I got to say this too, man. First ballot Hall of Fame in my book.
I think so too.
Nah. He. I like Matt. He not first ballot. No.
What holds him back from being a first ballot?
Man, first. Okay, so first ballot for me are no brainers. First ballot for me is no matter what room you in, when that name comes up, everybody has to say, "Oh yeah, he's a Hall of Fame." If you have some doubt about a name, to me, you can't be first ballot. Like when Peyton Manning, I don't care what city, what state, what team. You might even go to another country. You bring up Peyton Manning, oh yeah, he's in there. You bring up Aaron Rodgers, oh yeah, he's in there. You know what I'm saying? You when it's Pat Mahomes time, and you bring up Pat Mahomes, oh yeah, he's in there. Julio Jones, like that type of receiver, oh yeah, he's in. So to me, that's why I say first ballot. It really has nothing to do with any knockout I have on him. I just think if there's any kind of doubt, then they don't need to be first ballot. First ballot is no brainer to me. That's just my opinion.
Cool.
Can't argue with that.
Respect that. Can't argue with that at all, man. Absolutely, man. All right, so shifting gears, man. So when we talk running backs, there's been a lot of good ones in Atlanta's history too, man. You know, right now, Bijan Robinson, of course, Tyler Algier are here, and when it's all said and done, God knows where they'll end up, you know, on anybody's list as far as Falcons all time. But turning back the hands of time, Devontae Freeman strolled through here, Michael Turner strolled through here, Gerald Riggs strolled through here. Well, one guy I put on my list, and you know, and folks, for those that are in the chat, man, I invite you to go on Smitty's platform and view the very candid interview he had. But Willie Andrews is one guy that doesn't get enough recognition as a Falcon great, or even throughout the league.
Up. The screen not going down. There. Okay.
Yep. That is. So Willie Andrew, no, you're good. Willie Andrew, for me, belongs on this list. You want to talk about the originator and all-purpose back? Look no further than Mr. William Andrews here. Almost 7,000 yards rushing to finish his career as a Falcon, 30 TDs, 2,600 yards in receiving, 11 receiving touchdowns. This was one guy that really catapulted what it was to be an all-purpose back, you know. And for him not to get the recognition that he properly deserves is a crime, man. He's a guy that should be spoken up there with the greats. I mean, his name has been mentioned so much through this Atlanta Falcons organization to when Tyler Algier broke his record, a long-standing record of 1,036 yards as a rookie, to, you know, break William Andrews' record that's been up for what, 40 years, I think it was, or something like that, Smith. So it's been a while. So to that, William Andrews makes my list. Like I mentioned all the names beforehand. Michael Turner, Gerald Riggs, Devontae Freeman. What do you guys think?
Well, I like to start off, and I would like to say I give him a cheat code because he said it on Smitty's show that he's a fullback and he should go into the Hall of Fame as a fullback. So the argument for him being the best running back the Atlanta Falcons ever had, I can agree with that. But I would say, hey, let's use the cheat code. Let's put him at fullback. By far, he's the best fullback that we've ever had. He could catch the ball. He even had a little speed. I did like a piece. Me and Trey did a piece on him doing the long run in Denver. As soon as he hit Buddy, it seemed like he exploded like a cannon and just got faster. And he was quick. He was quick. He could beat you in the first 20 yards, and then he'd slow down. But man, like that was my favorite running back by far as a kid. If you go look at when I played football, I had that same number. So yeah, I can agree with that. I think if his career wasn't cut short by a knee injury that would happen in practice in Flowery Branch, not in Flowery Branch, in Swanee, I feel like he would be the all-time in stats as well. Receiving and running back and rushing. I mean, he was amazing. If you guys can go, if you don't know about him, go to YouTube and put William Andrews highlights, and I promise you will see some great runs. And one of my favorite runs was when he ran through the entire San Francisco 49ers defense on a Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell calling the game. And the first person he hit and knocked over was Ronnie Lott. And we all know Ronnie Lott was a beast and he was a hawk. So shout out to William Andrews. I can't deny this, but if we can do a cheat code and put him at fullback and give some of these other guys recognition, I would say that. But I don't argue with this at all.
And quick point before you get started, Trey. As I was doing the research for that interview, you match him up against some of the best fullbacks in NFL history. A 5-year stretch. None of those guys touch William Andrews' numbers. Just go check it for yourself. So when you talk about fullbacks in the hall, he definitely could be there easily.
Yeah, straight up beast. I mean, it's hard to argue against William Andrews. Really, it's hard to argue against him. But hey, I was the guy that always raised his hand in class to dispute what the teacher was.
Here we go.
Damn.
I know who he's gonna say. I already know who he's gonna say.
Who? Go ahead and say it for who I'm gonna say.
Michael Turner.
Man, Michael Turner, man, the Berto, man. Now I know Michael Turner only spent 5 years, you know what I'm saying, on for the Falcons. What was 08, 09, 10, 11, 12. I don't think he was there in 13. If he was passing out water and holding jerseys. He wasn't really playing. But I'm gonna say, man, Michael Turner, like during that time, I want to say, and Berto, you quick at looking things up. You might know right off. I want to say, I think Turner led the league in rushing 2 of those years. Out of that 5, he definitely led the league in rushing 1 of those years.
One year he did.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was just, at least 1 of those years. Like he just was bruising, man. The Falcons get down to the 10-yard line. We were so good in the red zone when Michael Turner was at his best in 08, 09, and some of 2010. Because Michael Turner could just run it in. I mean, he just was a flat-out beast. I wish we would have had him some of those years he spent behind LaDainian in San Diego. I wish he could have been in the Falcons uniform then. There's no telling what he would have been able to do. Just like there's no telling what William Andrews would have been able to accomplish had he stayed healthy or longer. So I love William Andrews. My dad, as a kid, my dad used to say, that's my favorite running back. That boy can run that ball. He used to always say that as a kid. And I'm like, dude, just give me some more popcorn and a Coke. I don't care what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? But
popcorn and a Coke.
Yeah, man. Like he loves William Andrews, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Michael Turner, man. I just think he had a short time. Michael Turner was not drafted by the Falcons. And a lot of times when players aren't drafted by teams, even us who are loyal to the teams and love them, but subconsciously, I think sometimes we get them a little bit of a knock because maybe they came from somewhere else and we see both sides of their career and maybe not want to give it to them because they didn't spend their whole time strictly with our team. But I want to say for the impact and the small amount of time he had and helping lead the team to winning seasons, like really being, as much as we gave Matt Ryan his kudos, Turner was probably the biggest catalyst on that offense that righted the ship. I want to give it to the burner.
Hey, Trey, I would say he was one of the best free agent signings ever for the Falcons. He ranks up there.
He ranks up there.
I actually had him number 1 on my list. So I agree. But man, Michael Turner for me too, because you talk about a guy that was a bowling ball, run downhill. He can run you over, he can run around you. And he had the speed to take off once he hit the second level. But you talk about a guy 200 yards in his very first game in the Atlanta Falcon uniform.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You know.
Crazy.
That's how you know you had picked the right guy. Yeah. 200 yards in the first game, and he still holds the franchise record for rushing touchdowns in the season with 17.
Yeah.
So
who was that against the first game? I'm sorry. I
want to say it was that Detroit game.
Yeah,
it was that Detroit game.
Same game.
Yeah,
same game.
And then he turned around the next week and ran all over the Chiefs.
Right.
Yep. So he ran all over the Chiefs. Smitty, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on one thing, and forgive me for doing that. I think Alex Mack is probably the best Falcon signing of all time. I would strongly, say him, and for the impact.
I can't argue that because
You know,
yeah, well, he been to this offensive line, man.
Mhm.
Very first year he was here, Super Bowl run. You
yeah,
know, somebody
yeah.
that can command the line and call the audibles and do all that. Keep
Mhm.
everybody in line. You got to respect that, man.
Yeah,
Got to respect
man,
that.
this is a center position that obviously went through the mud duck era and Todd McClure, but then we saw James Stone, we saw Mike Parsons, and then lo and behold, 2016 or 2015 season, we signed after the 2015 season, we signed Alex Mack from the Cleveland Browns, and he really came in and solidified everything for this Falcons offense. The communication was 100. He made the correct and proper alignment calls and stuff like that. And as far as his greatness went was with this offense as well. You know what I mean? So a lot of this offense, sure, of course, everybody. Well, not everybody. The quarterback's always going to get the flowers, but man, it's the protection alignments, it's the right calls that you have to make, the audibles you have to do, and playing some of the better defenses at that time. Alex Mack really withstood the challenge of just holding it down. So for me, while Michael Turner is yours, I would strongly say that Alex Mack would be for me, man.
One thing about Alex Mack
can't
that I
argue
want
with
to
that.
shout out, what I want to shout out is, if I recall, in the Super Bowl he played with a fractured leg. So
Yep.
that in itself, man, he went out for the team for the Super Bowl to make sure that we would have a winning chance, fighting chance to win. So shout out to Alex Mack. I think you're right. That was an important signing. And I noticed another guy that was on that team. I'm not saying he was important free agent signing, but he was a guard. I think he used to play with Denver or someone, and he didn't come back that next year. I think that hurt us as well. I think his name was Chester. What was his name?
Oh, Chris Chester.
Yeah, yeah,
He played
yeah.
for Washington.
Okay, yeah, I think he was an important signing too, and then he didn't come back that
Mhm.
next year. It kind of hurt us.
Right.
Oh shit. All right. Well, let me see. Moving down now to the wide receivers, man.
Oh, okay. How many we got on there?
We got three receivers. We got three wide
Oh,
receivers. We got
First one, a
I'll go
no
with three.
brainer.
The first one is a
No-brainer.
no-brainer, man. The
No
first one is
brainer.
no-brainer, man. Probably the biggest and richest gamble in NFL history. We saw Thomas Dimitroff trade,
Laid off.
trade up 20 plus spots to get this kid and a draft class that was probably one of the better ones in recent history. You talk, Cam Newton was in that draft. Yeah, I said Cam Newton. Von Miller was in that draft. Who else? AJ Green was in that draft. Julio Jones was in that draft. And the Falcons were bold enough to identify what they were missing in that 2015 campaign, I'm sorry, not that 2010 campaign, excuse me, and say this has got to be the guy that can take us to greatness, the levels of greatness. And what Julio did his rookie year all the way through, towards the tail end of his career it was unbelievable. A consummate professional. You talk about a non-diva style wide receiver. I think Julio Jones was a non-diva. I know there's some shit that happened behind the scenes, but hey, listen, everybody has their tipping point, and he's allowed to
Facts.
have his opinion and say what he needs to say. But when we talk about his longevity with the Falcons, you really never heard a peep out of him. Just examples and what other receivers could, mold their game after. So Julio Jones by default makes this damn list. What do y'all feel?
Definitely.
Oh yeah, I ain't got nothing to say.
I ain't got nothing to say
It's a
about that
no-brainer.
one. I
Yeah.
do want to ask a question. I remember not getting AJ Green. I was like, damn, who's gonna be better? Because I was like, he was Alabama, Julio Jones was Alabama, and AJ Green was Georgia. So I was like, man, I hope we got the right one. So I think we did. AJ had a nice career as well.
Yeah, man. Me personally, I can't say anything against Julio. I've already stated who my favorite Falcons wide receiver is. They just because it's more than just on the field. But as far as like just as a player himself, I mean, it has to be Julio. Yeah, I mean, it's really no debate, no discussion. That's what I was talking about the first time, the first ballot Hall of Fame was like Julio is like a no brainer. It's just like, hey man, that's Julio. It's Julio. You know what I'm saying? Like, what can you say, man? Julio almost like Debo. Who coming? Julio. Who's it?
Exactly.
Julio. You know what I'm saying?
Craig, Trey, you said something. You said something that he had the greatest catch that will never be talked about in Super Bowl history.
Oh my God.
Julio had the greatest catch that never mattered in a Super Bowl.
That's what you
And
said.
I think we all can agree on that. Julio had the
Yeah.
greatest
Yeah,
catch that
yeah.
never mattered. It should have gone down. Had they won that game, that would have gone down, in my opinion,
Should
as
have
one
been
of
the
the
game
top
clip.
5. Yeah, it would have gone down as one of the top 5 best catches
Mhm.
in a Super Bowl. It just would have, but unfortunately, it didn't. But Julio was a no-brainer for me.
Very good. Very good. Moving down, the other one should come to no surprise. And let me not fail to mention some of the other great names that has been on this Falcons roster. Andre Rison, um, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Alfred Jenkins, uh, Terrence Mathis. Who else? Let's see.
I throw Michael Haynes on that list.
Michael Haynes,
Mm.
Michael Jenkins, Brian Finneran. There's a lot of great Falcon wide receivers, but of course, number 2, where there's Batman, there's a Robin, or vice versa. Roddy White was the
My
epitome.
guy, my
Favorite Falcon of all
Yes.
time.
Easily.
2005, when he was drafted, I believe 27th overall. I was just a young cat. You know what I mean? I didn't know what the hell UEAB was until I did my research at the time, and this kid kept popping up on highlights, man. And at the time, it was in an era where highlights really weren't really a thing. But hey, I was able to see some stuff on Roddy White. But Roddy White, man, what he's meant to this Falcons organization, we still miss him. His charisma, his professionalism. He is the excellent of execution, like he's mentioned. He's proclaimed to be over so many years. There was so many other great receivers coming up at the time. There was one game in specific, the Cincinnati Bengals, where it was Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco proclaiming to be the best wide receivers. Their stats in that game didn't come close to what Roddy White put up that game, because he showed up and balled the hell out, man. One of my favorite Falcons of all time. I think I would say that my Falcon fandom was entrenched even more after watching him play, and just watching him grow as a wide receiver. A lot of things were said in the beginning. He might not even make the squad. Is this kid legit? Is this kid going to be for real? And it took another wide receiver to kind of hone all that in for him and make him realize, kid, you belong in the ranks. And I'm talking Joe Horn, which Roddy, speaks so highly of, crediting to his career and his maturation in the NFL. Roddy White, hey, I'll add another thing. When the Falcons, not the Falcons, when the NFL, which they still do, the top 100 players in the league, Champ Bailey vouched for Roddy White and saying this guy doesn't get enough credit, man. He was balling before Julio got there. That was the infamous quote that Champ said in that segment there. So Roddy White makes this list, my list. But to you guys, any other names that you would put in here, or are you guys cool with Roddy?
Yeah, I'm
Roddy,
cool.
Roddy hands down top 3.
Yeah, I'm cool with Roddy.
Easily.
I do want to make some points. What I was excited about, I remember when we drafted him, they said he was a wrestler, and I was like, oh, he's going to be able to get off those hand-to-hand combats and just get by him. And then I do want to notate that I know he played with one of our favorite quarterbacks, but I felt like that kind of hindered him. Michael Vick. I think that Michael Vick was more of a running quarterback. I think if he would have had a Matt Ryan early in his career, his numbers would be way up there. And I really wish him and Kyle Shanahan could have saw eye to eye, because he probably would have been on that 2016 squad that went to the Super Bowl, because I know I think he was kind of forced out. But man, like I don't remember what 2012 Roddy White and Julio Jones played together, right? They got to the NFC Championship. Yeah.
Right.
Man, I got to go back and look at
2011,
some of that. That had to be a tough tandem to stop them, man. And then
Absolutely.
we had Tony Gonzalez too, didn't we?
Tony Turner. That was, man, that's another topic for discussion for another time, man, because that 2012 season or that offense has a little something to say to that 2016 one that is actually.
Yeah, we win that NFC Championship, man. We probably beat the brakes off Baltimore.
Hell yeah,
that's crazy, man. Like, can you
because
believe
we had a better team than San Francisco that year, and they almost came back and beat Baltimore.
Wow,
man, like when you look at Roddy and just look at how dope Roddy is. So before I start that, go back to B-Rich talking about when Roddy White was drafted, right? We used to do an open mic at a place called 20 Grand East out on Memorial Drive.
I remember that.
in Stone Mountain. And so the draft was coming up. So we talked to the owner of the spot because we used to be like promoters who do a show. And so they would say, hey, can we come in here and bring our crew and we watch the draft? So they let us have it. So we had the whole place to ourselves. Man, on a Saturday, this before they moved the draft to Thursday night. And Friday, man, we had crab legs, man, we had wings. I'm talking about, man, we had we had drinks, but it was just us. It was
just no wings. I might get excited.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you, man. But it was just us. It was probably about, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 of us, man. When I tell you, when they called Roddy White's name, everybody looked around and said, "What the?" Nobody knew. Said, "What is a UAB, man?"
Yeah, man. We was mad. I think we wanted that LSU receiver, Trey. I forgot his name. We wanted to get that LSU receiver. He was like the main name, and we wanted to get him, and we didn't get him. I can't think of his name, Smitty. But one play, I do want to talk about.
What was that? Devery Henderson that year?
I can't remember, Smitty.
I don't know. Like for me, I think the biggest. I want to say the biggest thing for me was who came first? Was it Jenkins first or Roddy? Because they came.
Jenkins.
We got them in back to back. Okay, yeah. So my biggest thing was we just drafted a receiver last year, but I just remember B. Rich's reaction.
Okay, that's who it was. Dwayne Bowe. Yeah, that's who it was.
Okay, Dwayne Bowe. Yeah, I just remember our reaction to it, and in fact, fast forward now here to 2024, and it just made me laugh when B. Rich said the draft, because I think about how pissed off we were, how as fans we get so in our feelings about things that we don't have 100% knowledge or really insight into to be as upset as we get before we even see the product on the field. And when I fast forward to 2024, man, Roddy might be my favorite Falcon ever, period. I ain't gonna lie, not even just a receiver. Roddy White might be my favorite person that ever played for the Atlanta Falcons. He is a beloved player by myself. I love what Roddy brought to the table. Man, Roddy was a straight up beast. And honestly, at the time, I didn't think they needed to trade up to get Julio, because I'm like, we got a number one and a beast in Roddy. Just give him a little more help. You didn't have to trade the farm for another wide receiver, because you got Roddy, you got Tony, man. Just get somebody who's effective.
But they had that vision though.
The fences, man.
They had that vision. They gonna take it all. They gonna try to put up 30 points a game. Try to blow everybody out the building. But when you talk about Roddy White, man, he was so underrated. And the reason why, you had receivers during this period named Megatron, named Larry Fitzgerald. So he was overlooked.
Yeah.
And by him being overlooked because of those guys, he just went out and played harder. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like he could have easily put up another 20 touchdowns had it permitted. But when you have a strong run game, that takes away from your touchdown total. But go ahead.
One of my favorite plays that he ever had by far, man, was when Richard Sherman was talking all that.
Oh, man. The playoff game.
And Matt Ryan dropped that bomb, and he just dove in the end zone, man, over Richard Sherman, man. That felt so great for me, man. I was like, shut him up. Yeah, man. Shout out to you, Roddy White.
Yeah, man. Another shout out right quick, man. We got Mark Cheney in the chat, and the guy that deserves the name the Historian, man. Ryan the Historian, man, from the Birdcage LLC. Shout out to you both.
Yeah, he threw that Dwayne Bowe name out without even thinking twice.
No,
that's his superpower. That's his superpower.
He threw that effortlessly.
That's his
He
superpower.
lives that name, brother. He lives that name through and through, man. So shout out the Birdcage and LLC. Please go show him some love with a subscription to their platform. Also, Mark Cheney as well. My fellow Bleacher Report running mate there too, man. His show is up and coming as well, breaking down a lot of things in the NBA world and the Falcons world as well. So shout out to you both, gentlemen. So moving on to wide receiver number 3. This one could be interchangeable, but right here I have Terrence Mathis, Mr. Consistency himself.
That's a good one.
Terrence Mathis came from the Jets, man, but the numbers that he was able to put up with the Falcons in a span of 7 or 8 years is unbelievable, man. For a good little bit, was the all-time receiving leader in touchdowns for these Atlanta Falcons, only to be overshadowed by Roddy White, of course. But Terrence Mathis, mostly known for that sideline catch against the Vikings in that playoff game. His work underneath and his work as a number 1 or number 2, whichever way you wanted to view him. But he did put up number 1 receiver numbers. can't go without mentioning, man. A guy that ran the route tree effortlessly and was just that guy. Some folks may say Alfred Jenkins belongs in this list, but again, it's interchangeable. But I'll leave it up to you guys. Terrence Mathis as a third wide receiver on this list, yay or nay?
I say nay. Just because Alfred Jenkins, man, he was a burner. Terrence Mathis was a possession receiver, and he earned everything. I think he was even a free agent. I don't even know if he was drafted. And I have a lot
he
of
was a free agent.
Yeah, I respect
he was a
Terrence
free
Mathis.
agent. He came over from
hard
the
work.
Jets.
He did help us get to the Super Bowl, and he was a leader. But man, Alfred Jenkins, man, he could go get that ball. He could go get that ball, and it's kind of unfair when you kind of like compare the old school players to the new school because the game is so different. They didn't pass as much, so I would have to say no to Terrence Mathis.
Who would you put?
I would put Alfred Jenkins.
Well, man, me myself, man, because I'm feeling too legit to quit right now, man. I'm gonna go with Andre Left Eye Rising, man.
There we go.
I forgot about Rising. I didn't even think about Rising.
Because
that's a good one,
right now, man, I'm just feeling too legit to quit, man. So I'm gonna go with Andre Left Eye Rising, man.
Everybody gotta do too legit to quit.
Left Eye Rising.
Come on, everybody do it.
Too legit to quit.
Too legit to quit. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one, Trey.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. I agree 100%. I'm gonna go Andre Rising as well because as a tight, he was to me one of the best receivers in the league at that point.
Yeah,
you had Jerry Rice and Sterling Sharp at the top, and then after that, you think about Andre Rising. You got to remember, I think it was 92. He led the league in touchdown receptions.
You right.
So he was one of the top receivers in the league at that time. So I'm gonna go Andre Rising at number 3. And there's no slight to Mathis because Terrence Terrence to me, I'm not gonna say he overachieved, but he put in the work to be great. And if you look at what he did in New York his first 2 years, nothing. He gets to Atlanta very first year, Pro Bowl wide receiver, and he just was consistent throughout his career. But Andre Rising to me, he was just on another level when it came to athleticism and being hard to check. And you talk about footwork. A lot of people don't give him credit for that. You talk about footwork or receiver, that's exquisite when it comes to being a receiver because that's how you get away. That's key to your release on the line. The only other receiver that had better footwork to me was Jerry Rice. Outside of those two guys, maybe Ocho Cinco. But Andre Rising was ahead of his time, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. I forgot all about Andre. Got to shout out to him. He was one of my favorites. I think I lost respect for him when Deion beat his ass. Because I mean, I didn't want Deion to win. Like, damn, Andre, why you just didn't jack him up and get him on the ground? How you let Deion come in and just whoop your ass, man? I didn't like that.
You know what's crazy? When I think of Andre Rising, I think of how happy I was to see him score that touchdown and duck walk into the end zone in that Super Bowl. Even though it was for the Packers,
he deserved it.
I was happy.
He worked for it.
To see him duck walk, I said, man, that's what I'm talking about.
He got a ring.
He worked for it.
Falcon to Falcon.
Yep. Joining us, man, Ryan the historian from that illustrious group, the Birdcage LLC. What you got, boss?
Man, you know I got love for y'all boys. I'm getting ready to get off the JOB, and I'm jumping on here with y'all right now. I done got my paycheck. Look, I done got my paycheck so I can talk some shit today. So what's happening?
What's going on, man?
Hey, hold on. How the old song go? My man Terry in the back. Johnny Kemp just say we just got paid. It's Friday. I went old school for you one time, but now I'm gonna say this here. Now you mentioned Alfred Jenkins or whatnot. Here's a receiver that y'all forgot about. Y'all forgot about Wallace Francis. How dare you not even mention Wallace Francis, who held it down? Yeah, the original 89. How dare you forget Wallace Francis? He was one of the best in the game during the time we had Damian Mitchell's dad, Jim Mitchell, because those two, before Alfred Jenkins came here, was holding it down. So that is a guy that you can't forget.
He also had a Hail Mary pass against the Saints that won the game.
Yep. No, that was Alfred Jackson.
Alfred Jackson. My bad.
That was Alfred Jackson. Yeah. 85.
Yep, that was.
AKA Big Ben. That's what they call the play.
Yeah.
So I'll give you this. Now, you guys gave your 3 receivers. I'm gonna give you mine. Of course, Julio is a no-brainer. You guys mentioned Roddy White. I had to throw. It was tough because Terrence Mathis was a guy that came in that had to get it how he lived. You played at a horrible college at University of New Mexico. You go to the Jets, who really aren't that good. James Hasty helped him get his game together because we got it when we interviewed him. He talked about that was a guy that pushed him. So when he got to the Falcons, you got to think about this. Now, he was one of those guys that was just, he got so much out of his gifts. He actually was an overachiever. He was an overachiever compared to, because you look at the size, he had good speed, but for a guy his size, he wasn't supposed to make it to the league like that coming out of New Mexico.
Right.
So for him to come to Atlanta and become one of the best receivers in our organization, it's crazy to think about because we've had some good ones over the time.
Right.
So now I heard somebody mention Brian Finneran. That dude right there spent more time on the hospital bed than anything. So you can't mention Brian Finneran, dog.
At all. Hey,
Dude,
look, hey,
as a member of the Falcons, you know, and he's had the jersey, he's had the numbers. Got to put him on here. Got to put him on the site, but not necessarily that he makes the list. You just got to
wait a minute. What numbers are you gonna put up? You gonna put up the number of hospital beds his ass was on, or you gonna put up the number of doggone stitches he took? You choose.
Let's do the stitches, man, because he did his thing, man. He did his thing, you know. He did his thing, man.
No, he did.
He helped in some years and stuff like that. You know, he never garnered the reception that he should have gotten, but hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So
now y'all mentioned running backs. Of course, William Andrews is gonna be up there, of course. But there was a guy that a lot of people ended up forgetting about. And, you know, like I said, he definitely, a lot of Falcons fans from back in the day knew him, but you had Lynn Kane, the other half of that Thunder and Lightning combo. That was a guy that I feel like he didn't get the roses that he should have gotten out of that running back spot. Now, I'm just saying he's an honorable mention. We already know that Michael Turner is a guy that he just came in and he had fresh legs. You sat behind Darren Sproles and LT, you're a bad, you know those two was bad boys if you set that back there like that. Right. So, you know, have y'all touched on defense yet, or which of y'all touched on? Because I popped up.
We on that one. So let's
I
go
want a piece of this.
Oh, no doubt, we got you. So we'll finish out the list like this. Tight end being the next position. Listen, Tony Gonzalez was great. He was only here for 5 years. I'm not gonna put him over Algie Crumpler, not one bit. Algie Crumpler was that guy for me. I guess this is a list for me. So it's to be argued. Of course, we can make changes. But 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns. You know, I know that he's infamous for that hit he took against Brian Dawkins down in Philly in that championship game. But Crumpler was balling, and the Falcons just benefited going from the Crumpler era to the Tony G era. But Tony G is in the Hall of Fame as an all-time Saint. I mean, excuse me, Chief. So. Chief. I got to go with Algie Crumpler on this one. Y'all debate.
I'm gonna go. I got to go Tony G because he was a Hall of Fame player, man, and what he meant to the team at that point. I got to go Tony G because to me he's the best tight end of all time. So I got to give him his roses, man. And I like Crumpler. Don't get me wrong, because that was Michael Vick's guy. That was Mike Vick's favorite target. So I get it, but I just can't rule out what Tony G did over his career, man. And when he got here, he kept that same momentum going with the Falcons. So I gotta go Tony G. But who y'all got, Water Boys?
Trey, you go first.
Tony G. I love Crumpler, man. I remember being in a pizza spot, man, in Buckhead, and saw Crumpler come in after a game. He saw one of his highlights and was just over there going crazy to himself. So I thought that was pretty funny. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was pretty funny to see somebody kind of celebrate watching their highlights on ESPN. But man, I'm gonna have to go Tony Gonzalez. It's like I said earlier. Sometimes when players come from other teams, it's hard for us who've been with the team since day one to put players who haven't been there from day one over them. But Tony G, what he meant to Matt Ryan, and so it's like, I don't know, if we put Matt Ryan as the top on the list for quarterback, Tony Gonzalez was a big part of why Matt, was that. Now, of course, he wasn't there during the MVP season, but I feel like Tony Gonzalez was a big part on why Matt in the beginning became who he became. So I got to give it to Tony G. Tony G was Mr. First Down, Mr. First Down, and Mr. Red Zone. When we need the first down, they knew it was going. They knew it was going to Tony Gonzalez. And if you got any player that Bill Belichick put like 3 players, you remember that game? They had 3 people just. It's almost
ridiculous.
like they were just trying to wrestle. It was like WrestleMania on Tony Gonzalez, and they wouldn't let him do anything, man. So I'm gonna go Tony G.
Hey, no argument there. Cool.
Be Rich. He on pause, but
yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If Kyle Pitts this year, if he bounces back like he had a rookie season, I think he gonna end up being the greatest tight end in Falcons history easily, because that gives him momentum going forward. He got a quarterback in Penix and waiting, so he's gonna keep the talent at the quarterback position. I think Kyle Pitts can be that guy, especially if he can bounce back this year. It's a great start.
I'm shaking my head, Smitty, but go ahead.
Who did Smitty say?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I got Tony G.
I got Tony G as well. It was fun watching him play. He put up some amazing numbers in the short years he had with the Falcons, and you could kind of see he was a go-to guy. I just remember, like, why didn't we go to Tony Gonzalez? What game was this? Like his last game, we should have went to him, and he was open.
That NFC Championship, he wide open in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I just remember that. That's what I remember about Tony. Like, why we didn't go to him? And it was like we could have gone to the Super Bowl, correct?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I know that still eats him up today, but I have to give it to him, man. He did good for the Chiefs, and he did excellent for us, man. You know, easily. Okay, there go your lineman.
I know where Ryan going.
I know Ryan has something.
You know where the hell I'm going with this, because at the end of the day, there's a guy that was forgotten by the name of Jim Mitchell. That was the original unicorn at that tight end spot. You damn right. He's ranked 6th in receiving yards in this franchise. How do you not? Kyle, think about it. Terrence Mathis had to pass him. Andre Rison had to pass him. You talk about Julio Jones and right away, they had to pass him. He's not even in the Falcons Ring of Honor, which is a disservice. Now, I already know that you guys are known and you guys are seen everywhere, but this is something that I've already started. I've already started a petition to get this man who scored our first touchdown in our first playoff game. I mean, how do you not put this dude in there? And he was Steve Bartkowski's only real target outside of Wallace Francis before Alfred Jenkins got here. How do you not put him on this list? That is a dude who carried. Think about it. From the time this organization started, there were a few great players. The late great Tommy Nobis, Claude Humphrey, and this man right here. This dude literally carried the offense by himself before receivers came. So how do you not even give this man any kind of flowers? It's a disservice. As a Falcons fan, I became a Falcons fan in 91, born in 87. So again, that was before my time. I remember hearing about this man and my grandfather talking about him. You know, he transitioned from being a running back out of Prairie View A&M, shout out to the HBCUs out there, and becoming a tight end for the Atlanta Falcons. So how the hell do you not put this man in this spot?
That's a valid argument, man. First tight end to ever score a touchdown for the Falcons. This man.
No. The first tight end. No, the first player to score a touchdown in Falcons playoff history. He is the first.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. I love it, man. But before we get into the lineman, man, Smitty had to pop out, man. He had some stuff to take care of. But shout out to Smitty for joining the stream, and happy birthday to him, as today is his day. So we look forward to seeing Smitty down the line. If he decides to jump back in, then we'll roll with it. But going into the linemen, this is another one that is up for debate. Of course, there's names on here, and the historian's here, so he's going to check us. He's probably going to check us in this sense. But as the list states, we got Mike Kent and Jake Matthews at the bookends, Bill Fralick and Chris Lindstrom at the guard position, and then we have Todd McClure at the center spot, which the 3 interior positions, even the bookends, but I'm going to start with the 3 interior guys. I don't know how much argument can be made about these guys. Only maybe Jeff Van Note at the center spot.
Mhm.
Gotta go
I,
with Jeff Van Note over
yeah.
top
So
player.
right
Yeah,
now,
I'm taking Jeff Van Note over Mud Duck all day.
yeah,
And then you don't have
that's fine.
Whitfield on there, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't. I
You
don't.
don't have Bob Whitfield on there.
Hey, look, man.
Woo!
You got Jake
Listen,
Matthews over Bob Whitfield.
Wait a minute.
I-
Lindstrom, you got Lindstrom on here. Lindstrom has
listen.
only been here for a few years, bro, and
Yes,
he's
sir.
been good. But come on, man, you lay
R.C.
Bob out.
Thielman, R.C. Thielman could have been one guy that could have been on here at one of the guard positions.
But here's the thing: RC left and won Super Bowls with the Washington Redskins.
True.
I was gonna say you could have put Warren Bryan on there.
I don't know who Warren Bryan is. Excuse me for those that are viewing. But yeah, hey, I went with what I knew, and Chris Lindstrom was one of them.
But
So,
you just
hey.
said that Alex Mack was the greatest free agent signing of all. You left him.
I sure did.
You put
But
Tom
it's
over
it's
him?
absolutely
Ooh,
because
Lord.
McClure, 195 out of 198 games, man. That's consistency in its own right.
Berto,
A guy that played that
I'm with you,
position
Berto.
and then to
Hey,
get
go look at
any
Jeff Van Note.
recognition.
Jeff Van Note had a better.
Jeff Van Note,
18.
hey, listen, he can
he
have
played
it.
every game.
And I'll tell you what,
18
right now,
years.
the Falcons
Hey,
have three
Hey,
offensive
historian,
linemen
did he ever
that
miss
do
a game?
not get
I don't think
enough.
Jeff Van Note ever missed a game.
Van Note really didn't miss any games. He
No.
was steady. He was steady Eddie. He had 8. Think about it. You're playing center, and you 18 years, and he was another player that transitioned from another position. He was a defensive lineman when the Falcons drafted him.
Mhm.
And so, Berto, so you remember one of my guests that I had on the show, Hall of Fame center Dwight Stevenson for the Dolphins.
I do. Yes.
Dwight Stevenson said he learned more from Jeff Van Note when they actually scrimmaged against the Falcons in the preseason and would talk to him and everything else. So that's pretty much how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to take him.
Yeah, and you know what? And like I was gonna say, make a point to Mike Kent, Freilich, Jeff Van Note, 3 guys that don't get enough recognition by the NFL standard, and they belong in the Hall of Fame. And that would be a credit to the Falcons, scouting talent, because those are 3 guys that really should be, should be in that, illustrious class, but they're not. And, for whatever reason, it's the NFL. Some weirder shit has happened before, but I don't know. Interchangeable pieces, I guess. Of course, you guys want to, add Jeff Van. Hey, I'm 100% cool with that. He has all the backing to be put in that. But go ahead,
you gotta answer this.
Oh, I'll answer. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Trey. I know you want to say something. Jake Matthews over Bob Whitfield. Explain.
So for me, it's consistency, right? Iron Man in his own right. Jake Matthews missed what? Maybe one. No, he hasn't missed any games. Oh, he missed one game, right? He played a premier position, and Jake Matthews for me was just was the guy for me. I didn't really get to see a lot of Bob Whitfield, so I have
him have it, man. Why you lose the Super Bowl?
Bob. Hey, Bob. Wait a minute. Hey, Bob was on that '98 Falcons team. Unfortunately, when we lost the championship, and sadly, that was just one of the things that both of those guys ended up losing. And Lincoln Kennedy, who came on the show with me about 2 weeks ago, talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Link, think about it. He was in there. He actually talked about it, and he kept it real. He said we were in that chuck and duck offense, aka run and shoot, which was horrible for tackles. And he really didn't get to show himself. He went to the Raiders and became a darn Pro Bowler and a first-team Pro, All-Pro. And he talked about it. He said the other guy that he really thought that really should even be getting a nod, possibly even getting looked at for the Hall, is Bob Whitfield. Link said that.
Wow.
So, and you got to remember, Link only played in Atlanta for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
only 3 years. It's true.
I can tell you this: we didn't have to worry about left tackle when Whitfield was there, man, and he was blind in one eye, man. Like
the one eye, amazing.
I was like, damn, when he retired. Did Jake Matthews who replaced Whitfield, man? I can't remember. It wasn't.
I think it was
Weiner
for a little bit.
No, that was. I think it was Claybo that replaced him.
Right quick.
Go ahead, Trey.
Right quick, man. Yeah, Van Note should be on, but at the same time, I understand why Berto went with Todd McClure. Todd McClure, the Mud Duck, does not get, in my opinion, enough respect and enough credit for how tough he was and some of those Falcons tough offensive lines that they had. Like, he was the anchor, and I appreciate him for that. Now, when it comes to Jake Matthews, I really just wanted to jump in to speak on him. This is the only Like this is flagrant. This is blatant. This is disrespectful, Berto. This is just it's just
I'm gonna
rude. It's
stand on it, man.
foul. It's rude. It's foul. It's anything. If I had a whistle, I would blow the whistle violation.
Oh, man.
Because I'm gonna
Oh,
tell
you sound
you
like
why,
Jack
Berto.
Spade.
Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you why. From
Go
a
ahead.
player perspective, this is just my opinion. From a player perspective, Jake Matthews is the biggest reason and biggest person I blame for that 28-3 debacle. I blame Jake Matthews over any other player in a Falcons uniform. So Jake
So
Matthews can't go on any
okay,
all-time nothing list for
okay.
me because I blame him. That
Mhm,
dude had not one,
mhm.
but two holding calls that knocked us out of field goal range on two
Okay.
separate drives in that game. Just on that alone, Jake Matthews got to have a seat. I'm sitting there at my aunt's dinner table right now. I want to say it's a total of 6 chairs. He can have 6 seats. That's how many seats Jake Matthews can
Mhm.
have. He need to sit himself down somewhere, man.
Yeah.
Sit
All right. So let
down.
me ask you this: if it was any of the interior guys that I mentioned in that Super Bowl that we in 2016, and they would have gotten the same amount of penalties, would you have taken them off? Would that frown your way? Your means to put them on this list? I put Jake
Probably,
Matthews on.
probably. Probably because I'm hurt, Berto. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
hurt, man.
I hear
I'm
you, baby.
still
I hear
hurt.
you. I hear you, man. I hear you. Oh man, but yeah, sure. It's interchangeable. Again, this could be accepted or not. You know what I mean? Bob Whitfield, all due respect to him, a great Falcon. He was here only for 3 years. Jake Matthews is still standing the test of time, and he's still here producing. We might be seeing a decline in him and whatnot, but as far as tackles, I got to put him on there, man. And this one is going to ruffle some feathers as we turn dial now and go to the
Go ahead.
defense. And,
Yeah,
I'm waiting for Ryan to get back in because I know Ryan is itching to talk defense.
Hey guys,
So,
I got to step away for 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
You got it, man. Go ahead. Trey, we'll hold it down until these guys come back, man. Of course, when you talk defense, there's one name that is synonymous to everybody, man, and that's Sir Claude Humphrey, man. A guy that wrecked havoc in a time where stats weren't even all that important. God knows how many sacks he would have had if they actually would have kept tally. But nonetheless, this is a Falcons all-time sack leader with 99.5 sacks. 1968 Defensive Rookie of the Year. 11 fumble recoveries, a guy that was always around the football. 6-time Pro Bowler dating back from 70 to 77, bar none. Claude Humphrey.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. Yeah, no, you get no argument from me here, Claude Humphrey. I mean, one of those players that if he played in a different organization, if he was in the black and yellow, everyone would know his name. If he was in the black and silver, everyone would know his name. If he had a star on the side of his helmet, everyone would know his name. So he's one of those 100%. Players. It's no denying him, no taking him off, no debate, no discussion.
Mm-hmm. We're going now into the interior. So this one, again, it could be some folks saying, "What the fuck are you talking about?" This man right here, Grady Jarrett, belongs on this list, even though he's still active. If you look at the players in Falcons history, none of them, a lot of them have great stats, but Grady Jarrett, what he has been able to do in his time in Atlanta, how he's been able to dominate in the interior, I got to put him on this list, man, as an all-time Falcon for me, man. There's another guy, so we'll knock off both of the defensive tackles because there's another defensive tackle that gets no love whatsoever, and that's Travis Hall. Travis Hall was a wrecking ball in his own right, man. As you see the stats, 41.5 sacks from the interior, 435 tackles, played 11 years for the Falcons, man. So those two for me would be the guys on an all-time list. I know it's a little bit sensitive because Jonathan Babineau, of course, is one Falcon favorite that comes to mind. Some people have even mentioned Rod Coleman as another one. And Rod Coleman, coming from the Raiders and switching positions like he did. He started off as a linebacker. I think he played for NC State. And as he made his transitions and stuff through the league, and when he finally made it to the Falcons, man, he was a disruptor in his own right. Let me add Ryan the historian back on. Ryan, we're talking defensive tackles right now. If you missed out on the first segment of it, Claude Humphrey absolutely makes this list as one of the guys that has a 4 linemen. So I guess there's no argument there. The interior may present an issue. I got Grady Jarrett on here, and I got Travis Hall also as the 2 defensive tackles on this list. I mentioned the name Jonathan Babineau. I mentioned the name Rod Coleman.
Coleman.
Was
I was going to go
another one. Yep.
I was going to go with Coleman. Grady, I feel like Grady is going to take that spot over because he's the one that's had the longest tenure. But I gotta go with Coleman with that one. And then there's another gentleman. His name is on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of his name right offhand. Last name is Jackson. I always forget his first name.
Not Grady Jackson.
You talking about Grady Jackson, the big dude?
Yep. When you talk about the zero technique, he made it possible for a lot of the linebackers to make plays. So when you look at that, Grady Jarrett is a different beast because he can do what we say. All my ball players out here that's played on any level, when we say you get skinny, that pretty much means he can get between tight spaces and still make plays. Grady gets skinny. That's something a lot of big defensive tackles at that zero technique can't do. And Grady's been playing out of position his whole career. Grady's not a zero technique guy.
Not at all.
If you know the game, you understand that Grady is not a guy that is a zero technique guy. We changed him into that, and he flourished.
One guy y'all sleeping on, man, and he didn't finish his career with Atlanta, but he was absolutely a beast, and he just played on some horrible teams. It's Tony Casillas. Tony Casillas was the #1 overall pick in the 80s. I forgot what year. And he commanded double teams, which should have freed up a lot of people. He ended up going to Dallas and helping. I think he helped Dallas get back on the map.
He became an offensive tackle at Dallas too.
Oh, didn't know that.
He switched positions. Yeah.
Wow.
He switched positions.
But he was a beast. He was a nose tackle. He was a beast, man. He played for Marion Campbell, the swamp man. What do they call him?
Swamp Fox.
Swamp
Fox, baby. Georgia Bulldog.
and I don't think he should have been the overall pick, the #1 overall pick that year. But he did. He was a decent defensive tackle. Now I'm not gonna say he was the greatest Atlanta Falcon defensive tackle, but honorable mention to him, man.
So for me, we touched on Coleman. I'm gonna have to go with Coleman. I'm gonna put Coleman and Grady Jarrett there together. I hate to take Travis Hall out, but like Coleman only played Hall had a longer tenure. But when I think about just impact, Coleman was getting double-digit sacks from the D tackle position.
He came from the Raiders.
Yeah, he came from
Rod Coleman, dude.
That's not easy to do for a D tackle to be able to put up double-digit sacks. You know what I mean? Like Coleman was something else, man. Him and Grady, his tenure being here, and Grady's from the area. So I'm gonna give Grady that love. He's from the area, man. I mean, his dad's a Falcon great. To me, it would be disrespectful to go along with his play and everything else that comes along with Grady to not have Grady on my list. So I'm gonna put Grady, and then I got to put old Rod Coleman. But I'm not mad at you saying Travis Hall. Travis Hall definitely was a difference maker and a very good player. I mean, him and Patrick Kearney on that line together. Those are some tough lines.
I'm glad for you with this defensive line, and he was the anchor of the Grits Blitz defense. Like I said, I talk retro and I also talk current. Gotta always keep these old school Falcons alive. Jeff Merrill, don't nobody ever talk about him, and he was a guy that anchored that Grits Blitz defense and required double teams, just like Tony Casillas, just like Grady Jarrett. He just doesn't get talked about because you look at that whole defense that he played with. You had Fulton Kuykendall, you had Roland Lawrence, Tom Prymore. You had so many great players on that defense, and he was the anchor of that defense because without him getting pushed, you don't have that Grits Blitz wave coming in. So that's a guy that I would throw in there, and he was solid for us as long as he was. So I still go with Rod Coleman or whatnot, but Grady Jarrett's going to be the greatest defensive back at all time when his career is done and over with.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys just very cordial, very respectful men, because I might challenge that with the next set of skill set players, talking linebackers, talking
Let's do it.
secondary,
Let's do
and
it. Let's
I'm
do it.
going to say it right now because Adrian Broner is famous for saying something that that happened to him in the media where he said, "God, I'm getting cooked." So hold up a second. Let's talk linebackers. Let's talk linebackers, man. Synonymous to everybody's mind when we talk about Falcons history, the great Tommy Nobis comes to mind, right? I think that's
Yes, sir.
that goes on there by default. Okay. I didn't put him on my list. And the name that I did put on my goddamn list, it's gonna ruffle some feathers. Now I'm very
Please don't
much
say Keith Brooklyn.
he's one of them. He's one of them at a different skill set. You got to wait because you got to think the weak and Sam linebackers where I think Keith Brooklyn would have made a better weak side linebacker than he did middle. Middle by no stretch of the imagination is not. I shouldn't say no stretch of the imagination. By every imaginary thing possible is Jesse Tuggle. That is the middle linebacker. Bar none. Like father, like son, Grady Jarrett, Jesse Tuggle, both play with that hard hat mindset. Two great Falcons in their own right. So I'm sorry, we can't skip the other defensive ends position. This one, there's so many other great players. John Abraham makes it for me. I know people, argue Patrick Kearney should be on there. Chuck Smith should get some love, and absolutely, I hear it. But what John Abraham was able to do for the Falcons in a short time, and what we have struggled to replicate still till this time, but 12 years later, we can't find that dog at that defensive end position. John Abraham takes the other spot. Anything you guys have to say before we go on to the linebackers and secondary? Because I know
the Predator.
Boy.
Yeah, I'm
Bar
on
none.
board with that. 55 going all the way live. I'm on board with that.
Go ahead.
There's no argument with me about 55. I just say just make sure that you mention the man that we call Biscuit or whatnot, Cornelius Bennett, who came here and helped us get to a Super Bowl. And
true.
He definitely helped both pass rush with the Chuck Smith. But another guy that doesn't get talked about much is Lester Archambault.
Archibald.
He was a linebacker. So he's not even talked about like he should at this point. He's how you say you mention names, but you don't ever talk about those guys. But you're talking about defensive end outside. I give you another. Joel Williams, 1980s Falcons or whatnot. And he was the guy that had speed and cover running backs and receivers. So when you look at it, those are guys that came with it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And Chris Doman. Can't forget about the legendary Chris Doman.
Yep, that's true, man.
Can't forget about Buddy Curry. I give Justin.
No, I wasn't gonna forget about Buddy Curry. That was gonna be the last one I mentioned as an honorable mention because that man there played on some atrocious teams.
All right, so let's move on to the linebackers. Jesse Tuggle, Keith Brooking. Now, what other linebacker do you know in Falcons history, that is known for acrobatic INTs, just really taking out zones and defense alignments, but the only thing that really hindered him was health. So there's one linebacker. Nope, one linebacker that comes to mind that really, if he would have stayed healthy.
Witherspoon.
Nah, man, Deion Jones, brother. Deion Jones was something else.
That's who I mean. I didn't mean Lofton. I meant Jones because he made that.
Deion Jones was something special to watch for this Falcons defense.
Deion Jones was nice before he started stealing paychecks.
I'll agree to that. Because it was one. No, he's right. Because it was one of those things.
I'm gonna call a spade a spade. 100%. I'm gonna say this here. The one thing that the Falcons regime did under the Thomas Dimitroff era, we had great players until it was time for them to go to the bank and get that promotion from Mr. Arthur Blank. When they got that promotion, the productivity declined. You know what? And I still say he was a product of that, and he was a thief, just like Devontae Freeman. And True Font was always ass cheeks. I'm sorry, burnt bologna. Let me go ahead and say that. He was always burnt bologna water. So he was stealing money. So when you talk about players that had potential to do things, but they started stealing checks, Deion is at the top of the list for me right now.
Yeah, Deion Jones. Yeah, and I agree. Before he got the bag, there wasn't one. You talk Bobby Wagner, you talk Fred Warner, but in that same breath, in those respected years, you couldn't go without mentioning Deion Jones, because Deion Jones was a sideline to sideline linebacker and made the plays when it was called for. So for me, Deion Jones makes this list.
Man,
Now,
so
this is probably going to be one of the most controversial ones yet. I mean, I got some controversy already as it is on this list. Let me ask y'all, but more specifically, let me ask Ryan. Ryan, your thoughts on Roland Smith? Roland Lawrence. And let me ask you this as a two-part question. Roland Lawrence had the privilege of shutting down what main wide receivers in his era?
Let's see. During Roland Lawrence's time, he had Drew Pearson, he had Sammy White, played against Lynn Swan, John Stallworth, played against, let's see who the Rams. I'm trying to remember the gentleman for the Rams that they had at that time. He wore number 20, he wore number 28, and he played for the Eagles. His name's on the tip of my tongue. He actually was a good receiver. He actually played in the era, and there's no disrespect to him because he leads the Falcons in career interceptions.
37 or 39 all time.
Yep. And he played in the era where they ran the football, but you had certain teams that would air it out too. So he was a guy that you didn't really throw on like that. Played against the legendary Homer Jones that played for the Giants. I mean, he's played against some of the best receivers during that time. So for me, he was a shutdown corner, and he'll come up and tackle. He'll hit you in the mouth. So
yeah.
And he was one of the nastiest corners too. He just played for a bad Falcons team. So I would have to, for me, I know everybody gonna say, "Oh, Prime Time is the number one," but no, Prime didn't play long enough. He brought recognition to Atlanta, and he brought a skill set to Atlanta that we hadn't seen in a long time. But when you talk about pure shutdown corner and the guy that can support the run as well as play the pass, and they didn't throw his way either, Roland Lawrence. Go back and look at the footage.
100% agree with the Roland Lawrence love. I think it's another Falcon that doesn't get enough flowers. And Deion, that was my argument. I think Deion brought the swag to the culture, brought recognition to Atlanta by his style of play, his bravado playing style and stuff like that, the attitude. There was a lot that Deion offered to the city, right? And he was a great player too. Can't take that away from him whatsoever. He makes the list. Deion does. Trey, you're sitting there patiently. What do you add on to this list? I got a player that is going to piss some people off. I don't care, but I'm going to name him anyways. But Trey, I'll let you chime in on it, man.
So what we have moved on to the defensive backs and moved on to cornerbacks. I kind of want to speak on the Deion Jones thing right before I move on.
You go right on ahead. You go right on ahead, brother.
I understand why you put I understand why you would. I'm not mad you put Deion Jones on the list because Deion Jones made some big plays in the year that we went to the Super Bowl. Like Deion Jones really made some game-changing plays in more than one game. Deion Jones got the scoring started after the Falcons. The Patriots faltered on their drive. The Falcons faltered. The Patriots were driving on this, and it was looking like a pretty productive drive. Deion Jones forces a fumble in that Super Bowl that gets us the ball back, that takes us down for our very first score. That led to that run by Devontae Freeman. Not only that, the 90-something yard interception on Drew Brees that particular year that he took to the house. So like Deion Jones made a few plays that like. So as I'm about to say what I'm about to say, I can't take those away from him. Me personally, now that I'm able to step back and look at the whole body of work, when we think about linebackers that came during that time, especially, I would take Spoon. I would take Spoon over Deion Jones. I would take Sean Weatherspoon over Deion Jones. And then Deion Jones' fellow draftee and draft classmate, Devondre Campbell was really an all-around linebacker. Now, I wasn't mad from the aspect of darn they kept Dion and got rid of Devondre because I wanted to keep Devondre. But looking back at it, they made the wrong choice. Devondre was the linebacker that they should have kept over Deion Jones. He brought more to the table just from the aspect of his size, being able to rush the passer and being able to cover. Devondre Campbell was a better linebacker. So I would take those two if we're talking strictly about some of the younger linebackers over the last, I would say, 15 years that were drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. I would say Spoon and then Devondre Campbell over Dion. Now to the cornerbacks. Yeah, man. I like the historian, man. He's putting me up on game on some of the ones, because doing some of the players he's bringing up. I'm not gonna lie, man. I was caught up in nothing but rap music and females. You know what I'm saying? So bro. You know what I'm saying? So look, I was watching the Falcons, but boy, I was not giving them the same amount of attention that I was so caught up in rap stats and hip hop and females at that time. So I can't speak to some of the ones who may have played during the 80s. I can't speak to exactly what they did now. I will speak to someone who did play in the 80s and who drafted. You gotta put prime on it. You gotta put Dion. I mean, Dion is the player who brought some kind of spotlight to the Falcons. He's the one that made any and everyone finally say, hold on, the Falcons are actually a team that exists. Before that, I think maybe the Falcons was like a ghost that people play on Sundays, just a phantom uniform. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That people didn't know if these were real players. You know what I'm saying? Dion let the world know that these are real players. The Falcons actually have a real player who we tune in to see, and we can't wait for our team to play against them. Not only we get to watch our players, but hey, I want to go to the game because I want to see this Deion Sanders dude. I think we can't take away anything from that. Now I'm gonna let Berto say the next person. I like the next person Berto wants to add. I'm actually with Berto, and so but I'm not gonna be the one to say it. You know, I'm gonna let Berto say the name. But I
want to say something on Deion Jones.
Go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
Deion Jones was the beginning to the end of Cam Newton's career. That's all I want to say. All right.
Much love to you, Cam, if you ever watch this. But man, speaking facts, man. After that hit the goal line, his album wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same, bro.
It wasn't the same, man.
Look, same with Spoon and RG3. I know he had the leg problems, and he had the injury later in the playoff game that it really started. But man, when Deion Jones laid RG3, I mean not Deion, but when Spoon laid RG3 out up here, I'm actually outside of Washington right now, up here in Virginia. But when Spoon laid RG3 out up there in Washington, I don't think RG3 was the same ever since.
No, 100%, 100%.
Spoon paid him back for shaking him out of his shoes while they was in college. That's what that was.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So, all right, fellas. So this next name I'm gonna bring up is probably gonna fucking cause a fire.
Say it, Berto. Say it.
All right. So listen, man. So you made a great argument for the great Lawrence, being on this list and so many great wide receivers of his era. So I'm going to name some wide receivers of this era and what this cornerback for the Falcons was able to do as well. In this very same division with the Saints, Robert Meacham was a go-getter at wide receiver. Stallworth for the Saints was one as well. At the time, Joey Galloway was still burning heads left and right for Tampa Bay.
Colston.
Yeah, Marcus Colston. Played for the Saints during this time. T.O. was still a presence. He played for the Buffalo at the time, but he was still there. So Megatron was still very relevant and torching folks. But Brett fucking Grimes doesn't.
I don't have a problem with it,
brother.
I don't have a problem with it, dog. You got listen, amped up right there. That's my
fucking go, man. Because look, at 5'9", he standed and stood to the task, right? No receiver was too big or too tall. There was no wide receiver worth the clout that he couldn't stand a test to. Brent Grimes put in work for these Atlanta Falcons, and what a goddamn shutdown in his own right. Folks didn't want to throw anything towards Brent Grimes's area. You look at that Monday Night Football game when he leaped out of the dome to get that INT. Not
Yes,
just that,
sir.
but it's his work after Atlanta as well, which solidified him even more to be on this list. I mean, he went to the Dolphins and put up Pro Bowl numbers and made Pro Bowl appearances, but his impact in Atlanta or with the Falcons was all too unbelievable, man. So Brett Grimes makes my list, man.
I had him at, I'm gonna be real with you. He was in my top 3. I don't have a problem with you having him on the list because he came out of the World Football League over in Germany.
In Germany.
That's what
Yes,
a lot
he
of people
did.
don't know. He was undrafted.
Yes,
Hey,
he
He
was.
came over here. Now I'm gonna say it, and I don't give a damn how people feel about it. His crazy ass wife fucked us up here in Atlanta.
Rico fucked us
I'ma
up.
say
Yes,
it.
she did.
I'm gonna
No,
say
you're
it.
right. You absolutely
You
right.
took away one of the best corners that we ever had, and after he got that charge and they got rid of him, he wasn't right since.
Mhm.
He wasn't right.
Yeah.
So again, his wife caused all us to mess that up. That's why I'm still shaking my head about that one. He was supposed to retire a Falcon, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Love Brent
I
Grimes.
love
I
it,
want
man.
to
Love
give
it.
I
y'all an
got one
honorable.
for you. I got one for you that everybody forgot about too. He had longevity, and he was also Prime's mentor, the great Bobby Butler.
Bobby
A
Butler.
lot of people
Yep.
forget about how good Bobby Butler
They both
was.
went to Florida State.
Yes,
Mhm.
yep, they both. Yeah, he was. So Bobby Butler was one of the original black players that integrated that program. He was one of the first 4.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was one of the
Wow.
first 4
Hey,
who integrated that program.
I want to throw in one who was Bobby Butler's teammate, and he played cornerback for 1 year and led the league in interceptions. I would say Scott Case was a great cornerback that year, but I definitely put Scott Case as a safety. For
He is
the
a
Falcons.
safety.
Yeah,
But
Scott.
I mean, he played cornerback 1 year, and he
Yeah.
led the league in interceptions. Man, I remember that. I was like, damn,
Mhm.
they challenged him. He did a great job. So I would say that 1 year he played good, but he's definitely in my safety top all time.
Of course, I only
Shifting
have
gears.
Scott Case as my safety. That's what I got him in. I don't got him as a corner. I got him as a safety.
Hey, yeah,
As to say,
you gotta go look up how he played, man. He did.
I got him as a
There he is. He on the list right now. Berto got him on the list at number 10.
30 INT, 7.5 sacks, almost 1,000 tackles combined.
Besides
secondary
Ronnie
player.
Lott, that boy could hit. That
He
boy
sure
could
can.
hit, boy.
Hey, look, let me speak on.
I'll give you this here. Now in the and you know, Berto, I'm sorry, dog. I gotta promote it
No.
because
Got it.
he
Go ahead.
mentioned safeties and he mentioned hard hits. Last night I had to edit the show and I reposted it, so y'all please go check it out. We had the great
100%.
Doug Plank on my show last night, who the 46 defense was
46
named after.
defense with the Bears.
And here's the thing that Doug Plank said in the interview, and I'm gonna probably post a short when I get to the crib. Doug Plank said we got our defense because of the Grits Blitz defense, because of what Jerry Glanville did as an assistant. He says without us coming here and scrimmaging, and we watched how the great Walter Payton, who's my idol, you know, I take him up. No disrespect to William Andrews, but I take him over William Andrews all day. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
Walter's my guy. But Walter was getting the hell kicked out of him that day, and Doug Plank said they were hitting him in droves where he was getting hit in the backfield by 3 and 4 people. No one ever had done that. And Buddy Ryan looked at that, and he pretty much concocted the 85 Bears 46 defense, which was built from the late 70s all the way to the 80s or whatnot, because the Bears pretty much did everything that we did. So he gave credit to the Grits Blitz defense, and Doug Plank is one of the hardest hitting safeties in the NFL. If you ever want to go see somebody knock the hell out of somebody, look up Doug Plank knocking out Jimmy Giles and go look at Doug Plank knocking out Earl Campbell. He knocked out Earl Campbell out of a game. Only been 2 other safeties to do that. Jack Tatum was one, and Donnie Shell for the Pittsburgh Steelers was the other one. So it's only been 3 safeties to knock him out of a game. So that should tell you what type of player he was.
You heard it there, folks, man. Make sure you guys go to the Birdcage LLC on YouTube. Ryan the Historian and crew, great beard. And folks, man,
And he coached.
dudes put in the work.
And he also coached for the Falcons for 1 year too, under Mike Smith for a year. A lot of people don't know that.
You know, one of the hardest hits I've ever seen an Atlanta Falcon give a running back with you remember Herschel Walker, right? It was a guy we had named David Crudup. Boy, he laid Herschel Walker out. I mean, God rest the dead, man. But that boy could hit. He was a hellified player for us, man. I wish he would have had more longevity.
I still think the hardest hit we ever had in Falcons history from the secondary position was against the 49ers when Ronaldo Skeets, when Skeets
Ronaldo
Nehemiah came
Nehemiah,
across the middle
Roland Lawrence.
and Kenny Johnson knocked
Oh, it's
his
Kenny
jock
Johnson.
strap
My
loose.
bad. My bad. I thought it was Roland Lawrence. We just saw that, man. That's funny that you said that. We watched that game because that was the Hail Mary game that Billy White
Yep.
Johnson caught. And Ronaldo Nehemiah got the hell knocked out of him by Kenny Johnson. Trey,
He didn't play football again, and he didn't play football again. He went right back to hurdling and track.
And I was telling Trey that Ronaldo Nehemiah was one of the first world-class sprinters that played football.
Hey man, shout out real quick. Shout out real quick. 3 Dirty, Ryan. He got something for you right here. 3 Dirty. Shout out to you, my brother. Long time no see, man. Hope all is well with you. He goes on to say, Birdcage LLC is that sports encyclopedia. 100.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. He on his shit, man. And
Absolutely, man.
What's amazing? He said he was born in '91.
Hey, thank you, Pre Dirty. I appreciate the love. I was gonna comment on my man from the Water Boys. Now you said Ronaldo wasn't the first. I said he
was one of them.
Okay, I thought you said he was the first. I was gonna say that's Bob Hayes right there.
Yeah,
that's the reason that zone defense was created, baby. That FAMU, that Florida speed.
Yeah,
crazy, man. So Scott Case, man, makes the list as a free safety at that. So leaves the other position open, the strong safety position.
I'm proud of you, bro. You put Scott Case there. I'm proud of you.
Oh, man. Of course, man. Yeah, man. So of course. You know, the safety position isn't really a position when Falcon names come to mind that's like, you know, oh my God, you know, he's a great one. You know, you got Scott Case, Ray Brown is another name. You know, we've had some players come through here. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. You know, Eugene Robinson had a little stint here with Atlanta, but that was towards more the end of his career. Lawyer Malloy, Gerald McBurrows, Ken Reeves was another one. Keon Carpenter. I'm just naming names now, but one guy for me that stood the test of time and that will light your wick if you went across the middle of that goddamn field was William Moore. To me, William Moore, the history and the injuries let him speak for themselves, but the enforcer and what a lot of safeties nowadays, you know, kind of mimic their game towards goes to William Moore. You talk about the Cam Chancellors of the world, the Keanu Neals of the world. These guys. And then not to study tape on William Moore because William Moore was one of the originals. Well, Ryan, I'm sure that you got a name up your sleeve as far as the original, but you know William Moore was that tone setter for this Falcons team in those respected years. So to round out, you know, the defense, my safety tandem would have been Scott Case, William Moore. Scott Case would erase the top of a defense, leaving William Moore to clean everything up underneath. To William Moore, what do you guys say?
I think that's a great call, but you want to know, like, and I'll give you this here, and you know I study the films and stuff like that. William Moore was Ken Reeves reincarnated, literally. Ken Reeves and William Moore were the same player. The difference was Reeves just had a little bit more longevity, but William Moore was definitely better with catching interceptions than Ken Reeves was. You know, but those two were the same exact player, bro. So. You don't get no gripes from me. I'm 100% on board with this list.
Man, gotcha. I think Keanu Neal, man, he wouldn't have got hurt. He deserves an honorable mention. And you know who else was a good safety for us, man, but he just couldn't finish because he was a Brave, was Brian Jordan. Brian Jordan was a hellified safety for us.
Yep. I can't believe you said Keanu Neal. That joker cost us in the Philadelphia game with them Butterfingers. You can't trust a damn thing they come out of University of Florida. And Kyle Pitts is bordering along on that damn list right now. Y'all can say that.
Let me tell you. Keanu Neal did that Philadelphia game. He did. I don't know why he tried to catch it with his knees. The dude jumps and he literally kneed the ball up in there. I don't know why he did that. But if Keanu Neal would have stayed healthy, man, Keanu Neal was an enforcer. Now I got to give him his credit. Keanu Neal was an enforcer.
Bro, here's the thing. He missed more, but here's the thing. He missed more tackles than he made. Everybody looks at the bit. Here's the thing. The purpose of having a safety is you're the last line of defense. It's my old position, and I take pride in that, dog. You're the last line of defense. You're the free man that's supposed to be making those tackles when your linebackers get jammed up. when your defensive lineman opened up those holes. Keanu Neal never wrapped up when he tackled. He always looked for the big shot. And that was what really benched him up in his career.
Yep.
If he'd been a better surefire tackler and a fundamentally sound player, maybe he would have had a longer career.
He would have lasted long.
Keanu Neal been bounced around more times than a Darren Blunt and a Snoop Dogg party. Let's keep
God damn.
I'm just gonna keep that a buck with you, dog.
Hey, man.
And
I love it, man.
Bro. Like I can't keep away from him being a hard hitter because here's the thing: anybody can hit hard, but where's your longevity? Where are you making tackles? When are you leading the team in tackles? You're the man.
I will say though, I'm gonna have to push back a little bit. I think his injuries are the reason he didn't last as long. I think if Keanu Neal doesn't suffer injuries, I think Keanu Neal is a multi Pro Bowl player. I think he makes multi Pro Bowls. I really do. I see didn't Keanu Neal make one?
He made
as an alternate, I think.
Yeah, but he made it. Like I think. Yeah. I mean, you like that. So look, I can't argue with you on he should have been a better short tackler, not go for the knockout every single time. You can't go for the knockout every single time, even as a boxer. You know what I mean? You got to wait and you got to take your punch at the right time. So you got to know when to go for the knockout tackle. So I'm with you on that. I agree 100%.
Hey, Martini's in the chat, man, making some strong arguments, man. He says 3 years he had over 100 tackles for us.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, man. Like Keanu Neal, if it wasn't for injury, Keanu Neal had some of them boys scared, man. Keanu Neal laid out a couple of people. I mean, man, he literally cracked Montgomery's ribs. I was mad because that's my last name, and even though he played for, I'm like, how you gonna do a Montgomery like that, man? You should have done a Freeman or a Davis like that.
Yeah. Here's one thing. I'll give it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's crazy. The year we went to the Super Bowl, I was still in the Coast Guard at the time, and what they do for military, they let us go to games, right? Okay. So I'm up here, I'm stationed in Philly. I'm up here still right now. I'm out of service, but I go to the Falcons Eagles game. I'm one of the few that's talking trash. I already know what's getting ready to happen. We got robbed out of that game. When Keanu, and I give Keanu Neal this because I give credit to what credit is due, but I'm very hard on first round picks. When Keanu Neal hit Jordan Matthews in that game, I was on the field. Like what they would do, here's the thing. They let military personnel, after they unwrap the flag and everything, they let us sit on the field. When I say that, it sounded like a car wreck. That was how hard he hit him. And I've heard shots like that before. And Jordan Matthews didn't get up. He didn't get up. They had to help him off the field. And Keanu got bounced out of that game for targeting, even though it was a clean shot. But, man, all I can say is I got to give him that. There's one thing that he did right. Now, he didn't do it against the Georgia Bulldogs because we kicked that ass. But, yeah, he didn't want none of Nick Chubb or Todd Gurley. So, that's why I say he's suspect to me.
Hey, look, let me say on a personal level. So, you up in the Philly area?
Yeah, I'm up there.
Hey, so look, this is why we need to make sure we all connect on a personal level as well. Because had I known that, and I had your contact, man, me and my family were just in Philly on Wednesday. Me, my wife, and my boys, we drove up from Virginia. We down here in Virginia, down by Woodbridge, in between here and DC. Yeah. We down here now for a family reunion, man. I would have hit you up while we were in Philly. We could have linked up, at least said what's up in person or something like that, if you were all working at the time.
Man, I'd have hooked you up with a cheesesteak, bro. I got you. You come up here.
Hey man, we went over to Ishkabil's because that's a spot me and B Rich used to hit. But I'm looking for some more spots.
Hey, if you get to come back up here, you got to check out Pagano's. That's over. You got to check out Pagano's, and then you also got to check out Max's over off Broad Street, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the spots where you get your steaks at.
Hey, this we're gonna do. I'm gonna make sure that we can link personally. So next time, because I need to know where everybody at. Because if I knew that when I was in the area, I would have hit you up and at least chopped it up with you, seeing that we could have met in person or something like that.
That's dope, man.
You got me on Twitter and Facebook, right?
I don't know about Facebook. I don't know about Facebook.
You got me on Twitter?
Berto, you got his contact?
Got you. Yep.
You got contact. Yeah, I'm gonna have Berto link us.
Yeah, just hey, Berto, once the show is over, give him that stuff, and I'm gonna hit you up today, bro, so we can get some info fast.
No doubt,
Cool.
no doubt. I'll make that happen for you 100%, man. Let me just take the time real quick to thank you, gentlemen, for being on here. But let me also thank the folks that are in the chat. We got some other folks, man. Mark Cheney, like I mentioned earlier, but ATLGA Faithful is in the house. What's going on, brother? Willie Mo power bombing fools. Yes, he did, man. That's
He did.
part of the reason why he also makes the list, man. He was an
He did.
enforcer in his own right. Who else we got up in here? Debo Vibes, man, up and coming Falcon content creator. Well, I think he does everything Atlanta Falcons related, man. Follow him on Instagram. He has a great YouTube platform as well. So make sure you go hit him with a subscription on his platform as well. And where's our other brother at, man? On the Mark, man, is in the house. On the Mark, man, an intelligent young mind in this Falcons content creating space. Make sure you go to On the Mark. He's in the off season right now, as he let it be known yesterday, but he's back grinding with these Atlanta Falcons. So looking forward to more of his content and collaborating down the line. But gentlemen, man, this was amazing that we can get all of this together, put it all on the line, have a nice little spirited debate about an all-time Falcons list. Doesn't matter that I made it, but it matters most that you guys had some strong opinions and some influence to go ahead and change some of the ones. Jeff Van Note specifically. But I'm glad that the acceptance of Brent Grimes is heard throughout this stream. But the gentlemen, man, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And Ryan, man, I know that you just got off work and stuff like that, grinding for your family and whatnot. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and kick it with us, man.
Nah, you good.
Hey man, I appreciate you having me through, man. Always.
Absolutely. So, hey, man, before you go, please let the folks know where they can find you on your socials and what you got coming up next, man.
Go ahead. Who going first?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Y'all can go ahead and go first, Water Boys, man. Y'all was here before I was. I can't
Go ahead,
lie.
brother. Go ahead, brother.
Hey man, you already know who this is. This is your boy, the historian Ryan Walker. Top dog and the magnificent Birdcage crew. Check us out every Thursday at 8 p.m. On YouTube, Birdcage LLC. Also during football season, we do halftime. I do the halftime show, and then we do what we call the party line if we win, or we call it the benediction when we lose. You bring your prayers to the altar, and we definitely get this thing right, baby. And we also have tons of interviews from former athletes from all sports, not just football. Got some Falcons, got some Bears, got some boxers. We got a little bit of everything. Track and field's coming up. Got a legend coming in next week, Miss D. Miss D Todd's gonna be coming in. Hey, y'all check us out 8 p.m. You either get right or you get left, like we say, baby. It's the Birdcage, man.
Love it, man. Love it.
Go
Love it.
ahead,
Love
be
it.
rich.
What up? It's your boy
Appreciate
B
you
Rich,
having me
man.
on, bro.
One half of the Water Boys, man. I'm very, very proud to be on this show, man. Thank you, Berto. Nice to meet you, historian, man. You can find me on Instagram, brich404, Facebook, the Water Boy Show. Man, I'm out.
Short and sweet. Go ahead, Frank.
Short and sweet. Hey man, if you still watching this stream, which I take it that you are, man, yet you see it right there under my picture. TREYBOYPLAY. That's Treyboy Play. That's where you can find me on all of the sites, man. But you can also find us, the Waterboy Show. That's THEWATERBOYZ Show. The Waterboy Show. We just put out a couple of dope clips for everybody that's from the state of Georgia. We put out, hey, if only one more team could win just one more ring, who would you want it to be? Braves, Falcons, Hawks? I mean, if you're from another city, you can answer that as well. And then we also put out a clip today that you got to see yourself, Berto. You've been working hard. You might not have seen it. And it's called Matt Ryan Should Have Hurt Somebody in the Super Bowl. What should Matt Ryan have done? We think he should have hurt somebody.
There we go. That's cool, man. Hey, man, it goes without saying on this one, too, man. We highlighted so many content creators. ATLGA Faithful, another bomb podcast on YouTube. GA Faithful, man, please go make sure you hit that subscribe button on his platform. The brothers has been putting out some amazing content on these Falcons as well. He has some videos up there. The Busy Bees, if I'm not mistaken, he's highlighting, I believe, Brandon Dorless and Braylon Trice in that episode. So it's a must watch. So make sure you guys go ahead and tune into that. That's ATLGA Faithful on YouTube. But you two gentlemen, like Ryan, appreciate you guys taking the time to rock out with myself and Smitty. Smitty, like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, he was here, but he had to bow out for some things that he had going on. This morning, I was on Bleacher Report, man. Had to do this assignment that we're talking about right now. So if you guys could get a chance to, man, go on Bleacher Report and show some love, man. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. The stream is there. Hopefully we could get it popping to as many views as it could possibly get to. Hopefully 1,000 plus. But at any rate, man, we're here on YouTube. Thank you for stopping through the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. That's the platform on YouTube. Under Twitter, you can find me under RI Falcons as well. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Everybody in the chat, thank you so very much. We'll give you your Friday afternoon back. But again, man, as always, we will see y'all very, very soon, man. So to that, we say peace.